Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Libby. I am a social worker in PAVM at the Acute Center for Eating Disorders. And today we're going to do a body scan and a bit of meditation. So wherever you find yourself now, if you are sitting in a chair, standing up, if you can, I would recommend sitting down. You can also be lying down if you're in a place that allows for that. Once you find a place that you can comfortably be in for the next 15 minutes, we're going to start by scanning your body with your mind's eye from your feet all the way up to the top of your head and just noticing if there's any areas of tightness, of acute discomfort. If you're in pain, I would definitely recommend you move to a position where you don't feel pain. But we'll start at our toes, and you can close your eyes if that feels comfortable. You can also set your gaze softly about 3 feet in front of you. So noticing how your toes and your feet feel. You can even scrunch up your toes in your shoes to get a little bit of sensation down there. And then moving up from the ankles, up through the legs, the calf muscles. And if you can, if you're noticing any tightness anywhere, trying to relax those muscles, trying to really sink in and ground yourself into whatever position your body is in. Going up from your knees to your upper legs, up to your seat. And then in your mind's eye, sensing your whole lower body, seeing if there's any residual tightness there, discomfort. And as we move up the torso, you can shift your position of sitting if that's, in fact, how you are right now. You don't want to be slumped against your chair like I am here. You also don't want to be hunched forward. So you can almost imagine that there's a string at the center of your head that's reaching up towards the ceiling or up towards the sky. And it's not pulling you uncomfortably, but it's just setting a tall, straight spine. So you might notice that your back is no longer touching the back of your chair. Try to relax the abdominal muscles in the back. And as you move up towards your collarbone, you can take some deep breaths here, in through the nose and out through the nose or the mouth, whatever you prefer. And as you exhale, see if you can deepen this grounding feeling to your seat. Bring your attention to your fingers and your hands, whatever position they're in right now. You can notice the sensation if they're resting on your legs or on the chair of or the arm of your chair, how that feels. Letting the arms be heavy, moving up to the forearms and the elbows, the upper arms. And as we get to the shoulders, which is where a lot of us hold a lot of tension without even knowing it, try to relax them towards your back. So you want your shoulder blades to reach back in the room and towards your spine so that your chest is open, if this is possible and not painful for you. If you're having a hard time figuring out kind of how to relax your shoulders, you can actually activate the muscles by bringing your shoulders all the way up to your ears and then letting them drop and seeing where they land. Bring the awareness up through your neck. And as you go up towards your head and your skull, we're going to keep attention to our facial muscles. So if we can, relaxing the eyebrows, relaxing the corners of the mouth. You can even open the jaw and wiggle it a little bit if you're in a place where you feel comfortable doing that. Just loosening that up, kind of like this. And just as we did with the lower half of the body, as you make your way up to the top of your head, spend a minute or two just seeing how your body feels in this exact moment as a whole. And there's no right or wrong way. We're just noticing how each of us individually feels. Keeping the breath normal, you're not changing a thing. If a word comes to mind of a descriptor of how you're feeling, note that, keep that in your head. Or actually, don't keep it in your head, just put it to the side. We'll come back to it later. So the meditation that we're going to do today, again, you can have your eyes open or closed, but we're going to be practicing a meditation on goodness. So I want to be very clear that this does not negate the hard things that come up in our day, the difficult things, things that spark difficult emotions in us. It's not to discount those things, but rather really reinforce the goodness that we see in ourselves and that we see in others. So I know it's only 12:20, but if you've had kind of a busy day so far, you can use the past couple hours as your reference point. If that feels difficult, you can think back to yesterday. So just take a moment and try to think of one or a couple of good pieces of your day. Maybe you hit all the green lights coming to work, or you and your team had a great win today. It can be as small as anything. It's going to be unique to each of us. And just as we noted before, see if any emotions come up or any labeling. Wow, that feels good to remember that. And this can be something that's pretty unique to you, so something that happened to you or that you experienced. For some people, you can think of it projected onto like a movie screen of your mind. Other people, it might be more helpful to focus on the emotion that it brings up. So sit with this for about a minute. I will keep track. And when your mind gets distracted, just bring it back to that movie screen or that feeling that you're having in your body. If you're having a hard time keeping it in mind, you can think of little details about that moment or moments to try to make it more vivid in your body or in your mind's eye. The last little bit of time with this particular meditation, if you want to think of something else that happened, another piece of goodness with yourself, something that you experienced, you can call that to mind too. Now for the next bit of goodness that we are going to focus on and just reinforce in our kind of cup of goodness, we're also going to include somebody else. So this could be anyone. It could be someone that you really respect, admire, have a great relationship with. It could also be someone that maybe things have been a little bit stressful recently. But I want you to, in the past day today or yesterday, think of a good aspect. And again, good can be defined however you'd like. But I'm just thinking gentleness, kindness, warmth, things like that. a goodness that you see in another person. And call that person to mind, whether that's the feeling that you get in your body when you think of them or visualizing them on your movie screen in your mind. And we're just paying gratitude to this. We're noticing it. We are putting that in our bucket of goodness. And again, we'll spend about a minute thinking about this person and the goodness that they brought to your life recently. And just as before, if you can think of another goodness piece from this person, you can call to mind that as well. In closing of those 2 brief meditations, you can close your eyes if they weren't before, or keep them open if that's more comfortable, and just give thanks to yourself and to that other person. And then we're going to recheck in with our body. See your posture. Did you slip back into your chair? Did your shoulders rise up towards your ears? If so, bring them back down. As your jaw tense, open it and wiggle it a little bit. If you feel like you need to do some stretches, you can, depending on what position you're in, you can reach your arms up overhead, interlacing the fingers with your palms towards the sky, leaning over from one side. I'm leaning over to my right. Hands back up to center. Going to the opposite side. Again, still trying to keep your chest open if that's possible. If it feels comfortable, you can bring the belly over the upper thighs if you're sitting to do a bit of a back stretch. I'm not going to do that because you'll lose the visual, but you can bring your hands down. There's no expectation to touch the floor or your toes or your calves. It's more about your back, so keeping that safe and protected. And if you did fold forward, come back up vertebrae by vertebrae. So if you can think of all of your vertebrae stacking up on your spine, it's going to be a really slow, exaggerated sit back up, shoulders back and down, hands can rest where they may. And so in the final minute, we are going to just do some breathing. Doesn't have to be deep breathing. It's going to be your natural pace of breath, but we're just going to bring our attention to that. And if you'd like in this last minute to set an intention for the second part of your day, I would really encourage you to do that. And if the second half of your day feels overwhelming, just for the next hour till 1:30. So I'll leave you with some silence to focus on your breath, noticing the feeling of it in your body. And also, if you want to set that intention, when our time is up, I will let you know. Final noting for how you're feeling. Check in with yourself. Do you come up with the same word that you had before? Do you feel differently? Either is fine, either is good. And this practice that we did today on goodness can be done at any time of the day. It can be done while you're driving, as long as you keep your eyes open and you are focused. If it's just a mental note of, oh, that was a good thing that happened today, I would recommend you do that. So thank you so much for joining.